This is Lori.
And I'm Peter.
And we're with Heroes Character Rental Service back 2019 for our first review of the new year.
Yeah, it is our first review of the new year.
It's been a while. Anyway, we're here to review Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Yes. So, Captain Marvel, first movie. Well, we've seen a few movies. I haven't seen too many movies this new year yet because the beginning of the year there really isn't much to see. Plus the weather's been horrible and other stuff. But here we got our first superhero movie. We're gonna review Captain Marvel.
Yes.
And what did you think?
Well, I thought Captain Marvel was marvelous.
No kidding.
Yes.
So what were you looking forward to? What did expectations did it meet for you? I think?
Okay, well already I like superhero movies.
Right.
Captain Marvel I was looking towards mainly because it was the next step before we got to Endgame.
Endgame, right.
So, and we know we needed Captain Marvel for Endgames.
Okay. Now, were you aware of this because of the comics story?
No, I was more aware of it because of the MCU.
Okay. You were aware of her position in MCU.
Right.
Okay. Right. So I was coming into this. Captain Marvel is one of the few I've read a couple issues of that comic. I have a friend who's really into comic books, and I think maybe about 2015 they had an edition of Captain Marvel that was. She really liked the writer, and so she recommended it to me. So I'm coming in knowing little knowledge. I didn't know about her position in MCU so much, but one thing. So I liked the movie. Okay, I wasn't blown away by it. It's like I wasn't overwhelmed by it. I wasn't underwhelmed by it. I was like, oh, okay, it was all right. But I did notice some differences from the characterization of Carol Danvers in the comics that I read. Versus what Brie Larson is bringing to it, and right. I just noticed the difference. There's a difference, but I wasn't offended or bothered by the change of how they characterized her in the movie.
Okay. So. Now, myself, I didn't read any of the comics because by then I was out of comics.
Right.
I was doing other things, so I more or less knew about Captain Marvel, but it just was not on your radar.
Not on my radar at that point. So.
But when they started talking about making a Captain Marvel movie and stuff like this, and before Infinity Wars, I started to know a little bit about Captain Marvel.
Okay.
So when Nick Fury paged her, and I saw the...
Oh, you saw the symbol for
the
her.
logo.
Yeah.
I know I rose out of my seat. So I was just like, yes.
Yeah.
I did know that she was going to be more powerful than any of the other characters.
That I didn't know.
Yeah, and I was completely cool with that.
Okay.
And I say that because...
We know there's some controversy about that. Right. We'll address it a little later. Let's just talk about the movie.
Okay, great.
I enjoyed the movie. I did. But I just thought I didn't find it like anything special as far as a superhero movie went. It didn't, it was just kind of like as good as most. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like, oh my God, it didn't blow me away. But it did, I think the thing that was really satisfying is, like you said, it's setting up to go into Avengers Endgame. So, and when you get that tag at the end of the movie, it's like, oh, I hopped up out of my seat. So I hopped up out of my seat for that. And there are certain things that I did love. Like I said, I bring up the characterization being different from the comic book, but I kind of like that because in the comic I read, I think there's this tendency, and this is an issue I have just in general, like for female characters or women in general is like emulating male strength and that toughness and things in order to be considered successful or to be a success. And I don't think we should have to do that. And I think the comic kind of like tilted the character's personality more towards that, whereas Brie Larson, I don't get that from her. She's just a woman who's a pilot, who's a good pilot, and There's no, I have to be as tough as the guys kind of. Well, actually, that's kind of a thing, though. It's not, I didn't get it, it was, I have to be as tough as the guys. It's like I have to be, I have to be tough, but in a different way. I don't know, I got it different. What do you see?
You know what? During their training sequence, and they were showing all of this other
I'm thinking
stuff. They kind of started going that way.
Yeah.
But I think they cut short.
Yeah.
And I was really glad that they did.
That's what I'm talking about.
Because the thing is, she was smart.
Yeah.
And and I don't mean smart. When I say smart, I don't mean, what is pie and stuff like this. I just mean she was smart and resourceful, and things didn't scare her.
Right.
She wanted to move past things. In the movie, they did talk about a little bit how genders kind of, like the male, well, you can't do this, so we want you to do that, and then stuff like this. And little did they know, they were actually pushing her into a better position.
Well, what I loved, and what this movie makes a point of, and there's a scene at the end of the movie that just really emphasizes this, and it's part of I got excited. It's her resilience, and she didn't give up. I mean, she was, she would fail. She couldn't do things as tough as the guys and would fall, but she would get up and try again. Yes. And you knew she got to her position where she ended up because at some point she didn't give up. Right. She kept doing it until she could do it.
Right.
So.
And that's something that is always said. If you're on social media, it's said a lot on Facebook. When I was a kid, it was said a lot, and that was, it's not if you failed or if you fell when you did something. It's that you got back up.
Yeah, you got back up and tried it again.
Yeah,
that's what I loved about Brie Larson's the character they brought to the screen,
right?
As opposed to what I read in the comic book,
right?
So. And it's been a few years since I've read it, so it's like my memory isn't that shaky. So, anything else about the movie you wanted to?
Well, you know what? For me, there was, and it's weird. It's kind of like voting for president or whatever. You just find somebody who you like and who agrees with what you're doing, and you just vote. It doesn't matter what color or gender or anything that they are. Is this the way I want the country to go? Well, in this, they actually had five strong characters. Okay. 3 of them were women. And that was...
I think it was really successful in bringing in female characters to the forefront and center of the movie without banging you over the head with it. It's like, look at these strong females, aren't we? They it was so matter of fact. It didn't make any kind of big hoopla about it and stuff like that.
It's almost like when you grew up, you knew Dad was the head of the house, but after you grew up, you kind of like, God, Mom was really strong. Mom did this.
Yeah, Mom was running things. Wait a minute.
Mom ran this. But Dad was like, mine. Well, but you never. That it wasn't until
he was like the more
the
visual
movie.
Head, and rather than the behind the scenes, So it's
So that's something that I really liked, is that it didn't try to bash you over the head with
that. I wasn't like let me push a feminist agenda. It's for anybody who was worried about that, and there was a lot of controversy with this coming. But there was like in the promotion of the movie too. There was some, but I'm not interested in getting into all of that. So I enjoyed the movie. I don't know if I want to bring the Tesseract thing. Kind of was a little confusing, and how it pops. How I don't know. I should I mention?
well, I put it. I'll
Where
put it
does
this
the
way.
yeah? I'm not sure about the Marvel Cinematic Universe timeline for the freaking Tesseract at this point.
Oh, it's perfect.
You think it's perfect?
Oh, it's perfect.
So I'm going to need somebody to map it out because I'm like, hey, wait a minute, what did that? Well, how did it get here and how does it get there? So I have to, and I'll actually have to give you a link to my friend's Facebook page because he asked the same question.
Okay.
So you can map it out for us.
Yes.
So
Yeah, but I want to say, well, there's two things.
Okay.
I was blown away by the movie.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to hear because.
Okay. Now, here's the thing. I usually go to a movie and I want everybody quiet.
Okay.
And I've stood up a few times in the movie and say, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
But I went to this movie with a friend.
Okay.
Never been to the movies with this young lady before.
Okay.
But I knew she was into Marvel.
Oh.
Hey, let's go see this movie.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we went. And she did say a few things during the movie.
Okay.
And I had never been so okay with that in my life.
Okay.
And we were almost like two nerdy guys.
Okay.
Going like I mean, it was great.
Okay.
So I was fully immersed into the movie, and just our dialogue. Although small, we didn't interrupt anybody around us. I don't think. But anyway, it was just fantastic. So
great movie going experience.
Yeah, it was just a great movie going experience, and then afterwards, it was just a great movie.
Yeah.
Because for those of you who haven't seen it, there is going to be two end credit scenes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The second one is kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and that's okay, and that's
cute.
why it's back, and that's why this
okay.
and this, that, the other. But the first one, again, I had to jump out of my seat. I was like,
well, yeah, I jumped out of my for that first one. I jumped out of my seat too because after we saw, I mean, the special effects are really great in this. It's good to see this character come to life on screen, and and especially knowing, because I know, like I said, I didn't know the position of Captain Marvel in the Marvel universe when I read the comic, but I knew what it was coming into this movie.
Right.
So why that was important, and of course, at the end of the end scene, the tag credit is like, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah,
it's going to be exciting. Yeah, like I said. So special effects I was cool with. Acting I was cool with. I thought everybody was good. We had Jude Law playing the bad guy. Annette is in this. Playing Marvel, which is a change from because there's that controversy that was a male character before, and now it's being portrayed by a female.
But you know what? I think the movie would not have worked
with if they had made it a male character.
If they had made it a male character.
Yeah.
And the other thing,
in what way do you think it wouldn't have worked? Or you just haven't really just...
Well, because...
I like the fact that it was a woman.
Yeah.
She was mentoring these women pilots who, I mean, this takes place in the 90s, and women couldn't fly combat then. So it made total sense, the role they did play in being able to fly planes and connected with this character. So, and especially, it just worked for me.
Right.
Yeah.
No. I think it wouldn't have worked had it been a male character because now he is saying, "Oh, I need you to do this," and he's kind of controlling everything, and it comes from his perspective.
Yeah.
Actually, when it came from the woman's perspective, it was. There was no controlling either way. It just
well, I think
seemed,
it comes back to me not feeling like there was this feminist agenda. They weren't trying to say, "Oh, look how men control women," and da 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 da. So by having this character female wasn't about that at all.
Right. No.
Yeah. Whereas you could either project that onto it, or they could have tried to make some kind of statement by doing it that way.
Yeah. And because later on in the movie, you know, the intelligence.
Well, that's another thing, yeah.
So it was kind of like, okay, she didn't know why certain things, and I don't want to spoil anything for people, but she didn't know why certain things, so I think they told a good story coming around with that. Knowing the MCU and knowing the comics and stuff like that, they're really bringing this around very nicely.
Okay.
They, Marvel, Disney, doing an excellent job, but whoever the writers are, they've done, I thought, an excellent job in setting things up, all the way from Iron Man.
Okay.
And you know, some things I have to wonder. I know they didn't think it was going to go this far. They couldn't have thought it was going to go this far
ahead.
But they kept setting Easter eggs.
Well, you know, one of the things people wanted a Black Widow movie. It's like, why are you doing Captain Marvel instead of Black Widow? Now it makes sense because what they were setting up. You know? So they needed to bring in this character at this time.
Right.
And
they can still do a Black Widow movie.
And they plan to, apparently.
And I think they're going to still do a Nick Fury movie.
Okay.
But they still can later. This does not impose on any of those. You know, this does not stop any of those because there's still characters that you want to explore, and you want a little bit more information.
Yeah, I'd still want to see like certain characters' backstories and things like that.
Right.
So should we? I want to wrap this up and then continue on after wrap up the video. Yeah. So I want to say this movie, for me, like I said, I was okay with it. It was good. I enjoyed it. You know, I wasn't blown away. But except for that, you know, the last scene that you got to stick around for, that if you're into where the cinematic universe is going, that's really exciting and fun. But as a standalone movie, I think you need to see it if you're following along on the Marvel universe. Do you think it's worth seeing as just a standalone movie?
Yes.
Okay. I think in terms of having a rare movie that's a female-led superhero character that's well done, I think it's valuable in that sense and stuff. But you know, if you don't need that kind of, you know, what do I want to call it, satisfaction or kind of, you know, seeing yourself on screen, I'm trying to get to that, then I don't know if you'll get as much out of this movie. He's like, oh yeah, that was all right. So,
no, for me, I rate it very high.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I just thought it was a great movie.
Okay.
I do think that it survives very well as a standalone movie. If you haven't seen other movies, that's perfectly fine.
Oh no, yeah, you'll enjoy this movie. It's start to end. You don't really need to be following the Marvel universe to enjoy this movie. I didn't think it was like didn't have like the wow elements like something like Black Panther had, or like Captain America: Civil War, which are like, whoa, those are amazing. To me, I was like, yeah, this is good, but so.
No, I get that, but I guess too. I wanted to see this character on the screen, and I was happy to see her on the screen. I was happy to see the way they portrayed her. I love the twist in the movie. Because I always love twists in movies, because I want you to take me one place and then throw me someplace else.
Okay.
And I really like it. And I like that the movie didn't think that I was dumb, and I don't think they.
No, they don't. It doesn't talk down to you or nothing.
No. They said you're smart enough to follow along with this, and they just did it. and I just thought it was a great story, and the way they portrayed it on film was really good. And I think this was they needed to do this at this point.
Yeah. So for Captain Marvel, definitely go see it if you're following along with the Marvel Universe. You won't lose out if you go see it. Just to enjoy a superhero movie. It's enjoyable and it's well done.
Yeah. So for myself, I think I rated it at a 9.8 or something like that. Yeah.
Wow, you went really high.
Yeah, I was really impressed with what they did, the way they portrayed it. The acting was great. They followed the timeline. So they went back, like you said, into the 90s.
Yeah.
And then they started moving forward, actually with two stories, with Nick Fury's story, and Captain Marvel, and then what was going on, and they told a story about S.H.I.E.L.D., and of course this was before.
It was early days. No, I don't know if it was early days. Yeah. It would be early days. It would be early days of S.H.I.E.L.D.
This
because it was
actually
called something else before that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now because this would have been Captain America was already back in sleep in his hibernation. Nick Fury probably knew about him, and then when he met Captain Marvel and the things that had to happen there. And then now you kind of look back and they do something in the movie with this, but when he's talking to Tony Stark, to Iron Man, when he tells him, "You're not the only," I was like, you kind of, even though they don't do it in the movie, you kind of go and you hear that, and you kind of see that scene, and you're just like, oh.
Oh, okay. So I might have to see this again just to to reevaluate though.
Oh yeah, It's if you go, I'm going.
Well, you've heard it here. So I'm Lori,
and I'm Peter,
and we out. Can I wear the helmet though? Yeah. Can I wear the helmet? Will it fit?
I think it will. Got to take off your glasses though.
And pull my hair through. We out. Getting ready for the next heroes.